Okay. So what's been the greatest career challenge that you've encountered so far?
Yeah, I think as an entrepreneur, especially as one who always, and I mean always, has a new idea, a new business I'm trying to start, a new way to approach a challenge, the hardest thing has been focusing. I mean, I told you how easy it is for me to be distracted. So like the main thing is focus, right? And I remember like in the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, and I was going through, shout out to Q. She works at Impact Hub, but also leads strategy school. I went through strategy school, and he was trying to say, like, you need to bring it down, like bring it into focus. Who are your ideal clients? You know, what are you really trying to do? And I'm like, everybody can benefit. And Q was just like, I get it, but we need to focus. And that moment for me was very difficult because I felt like I wasn't, I felt like I was losing things by getting into focus. But what I learned from that is that when you actually focus, it expands everything. And so that's been the most challenging piece, is like remembering to focus, like finish out what you started. I remember my other best friend, who you also know, Connie Yarborough. I'm gonna just put a whole government out there.
Connie, so
She said to me, right, I will. She said to me one day, and it was like, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I think I don't know if I had moved on to something else, a different project, and she said, "Are you going to finish that? Like, are you going to finish, actually follow through with that?" I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Because you typically start stuff and don't finish it." It was like, said it as a joke and kept moving. And I was like, "What in the, like, I don't," and I told her this recently, I don't think she realized the impact that words had on me, because I was just like, I am presenting myself as a person that doesn't finish what they start. And it completely changed. And so it had me really focus on following through, being committed to the end, to things that I said that I wanted to do. So
shout out to real friends.
Shout out to Connie
shout
for
out
like
to real friends.
really
Yes.
keeping it real and raw with me.
No,
real rap raw.
My girl Donna that jumped on. Real friend that you can actually just like say what it is. And of course, some of the truth isn't intended to even jolt you, but in me telling you that I truly see you and being gentle and revealing that I see you, it allows you the opportunity to see yourself as well. It's funny that you say that. I had a situation yesterday actually where I heard myself say something out loud, and it was something that I've said to myself before a few times, but based on the work that I've been doing, I heard myself say it, and this time I was like, absolutely not. I don't care that was okay previously. That is not who I am today. And that's not what I'm going to move forward as. And so not only did I absolutely not myself, but then I chose to challenge myself in real time. I did it, and I spent the rest of the day being so proud of myself because I had to like check myself. I was like, wait, we're not going to be less than what we know we can be just because it's okay. It's not okay, you know? And so it's self accountability and accountability from those closest to you is most important. Most important. Strangers can tell you things and go ahead.
Because it's the, I was just gonna say, it's those, and shout out to Donna for keeping Alexis on task. It's really, but those people that are close to you, they really know you, right? Good, bad, ugly, and they know your potential. And so when you have friends that know you in that way and can elevate you in that way, that's so important. And I mentioned earlier, having these like groups of accountability. If you don't have friends that are going to keep it real with you, that are going to challenge you, that are going to elevate you to your potential, then why are they around?
Listen,
like, really, why are they around?
Underway, okay, and I've just been reevaluating my life, and it's no disrespect to anyone. I love all of my people. But I have to love on myself the most. And we know how things work, right? Who you're around, the energy that you're absorbing, all of those things. And so I'm very compassionate and I want to help everyone, much like you said. I'm for everybody, right? And I had to realize actually not so much.
Right.
And then even for me, not only am I for everybody, but everybody want a piece of me. And I was like, okay, you get a piece, you get a piece. And I'm like, nope, I need that piece back. I need that piece back. Right. So it's been very interesting, but so rewarding, so rewarding. And it's those friends just like that can see you and help you see yourself better that get to stay and have leading roles, you know? And people, I think people underestimate how important friendships are, especially now in the social media and text age where, you know, people think it's okay to be unresponsive because, oh, it's just the text, or, oh, it's just the, no, like there's a level of respect that we have to maintain with communication, no matter what channel we're choosing to communicate on. And so we're losing respect, and then the relationships are now being weakened and or we're ill defining what relationships actually mean. So we definitely need to be very mindful about who's in our circle, what they're adding to the circle, what they're taking from the circle as well, because it's reciprocal, right? And so it should never be a one-sided situation at all. But I love that you know you have a tribe that is able to facilitate those things for you and say things, and also know how to say them for us to receive them and not hurt our feelings. Or even if our feelings got hurt, we know how to receive versus shunning the friend for daring to be honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy. So
that part.
Kudos to Connie. What's up, girlfriend? Okay. What has been the greatest personal challenge that resulted in the best transformation?
So when I saw this question and I was thinking about my response to it, I was like, am I really going to share this? Because it's a little personal and I haven't really made it public. So people don't know that I was married for 3 years, and it was the most challenging thing I had ever experienced in my life. And I'm saying that as somebody who is running 2 businesses and a nonprofit, right? So it was still the most challenging thing that I experienced. But it grew me up so much. It taught me about, it had me confront my ideas about what partnership is, what marriage is, what love is. It had me like challenge all of these notions, all of these ideas that I had about it. It had me confront my negative relationship with money. Like all of these things are like coming out of me, and it was very, very challenging and very difficult. Not to say that there weren't, good moments or anything like that. But I'm so much better for it. I'm so much better for it. All the lessons that I've learned in that relationship, things that I would do differently. And although, we're not in a relationship anymore, we still can communicate. And even are talking, discussing what a business relationship looks like because he's in finance. And so I don't throw away good connection. Okay, I don't care. I don't throw away good connections. So, but that was a challenging 3 years of my life. And I had never really been in a long-term relationship prior to that. So for that to be my first long-term relationship, it was an interesting thing. But he is a person he's such a go-getter and like focused and, hustle mode, like is on 1,000. And so I learned, like I picked up a lot of that and I learned from a lot of that. And although we weren't a good fit for a relationship, there were a lot of like good things that I learned from that relationship that has transformed
Absolutely.
me.
I totally agree with that. I think society doesn't talk enough about how relationships do change, but like you said, it doesn't mean you have to throw away the entire relationship with the person just because you can no longer be romantic, or just because we're no longer best friends doesn't mean that we can't be friends or acquaintances, right? And so being able to repurpose or reconfigure relationships is so important. And I've been thinking about it more specifically, again, talking about being very spiritual based. When we hear about a lot of the goddess and gods and their relationships, sometimes they're husband and wife, sometimes they're father and child, and we're like, huh? And it's because how the relationship dynamics, they change throughout the whole relationship. And so sometimes it's calling for you to wear a different hat, but nonetheless, you're still dealing with the same two individuals. So I thank you so much for trusting my platform to share that on. And I totally understand what you're saying. Being in a marriage myself, just had my 3-year anniversary with my husband in March. We've been together for almost 6 years. Thank you so much. And it's work, you know, it's work to be with yourself. It's work to be with anyone else. We've grown a lot, and I'm super grateful for it. I think he's on here. Hey boo. But it's, you know, we really have to do the work, no matter if the relationship is doing well or if it's doing horrible. If we don't do the work, it's going to find us later in life somewhere else, you know? So super grateful. Yeah, super grateful for your insights there. And again, thank you so much for trusting the platform to share that. What advice would you give a young woman looking to grow in a career in community development?
So community development is so broad. There's so many ways that there's so many on-ramps into kind of this space. So I guess what I would say, it may not be specific to community development, but it could be, you know, applicable to any field. And I would just say, start with the end in mind, right? What is the result that you want to create in your life, in your community, in your family, and in industry? Like, what is that result you want to create? And then work backwards. Okay, what are the avenues or means or skills that I need to learn in order to create that result? Because sometimes we can get locked in. Like, I have a lot of like college interns that come through my company, and the way that I structure the internship is there are some required things that have to be met in terms of the project. So they're all project based, right? But I don't tell them what the final deliverable has to look like. And so a lot of them are scared out of their minds because they're used to saying, turn in a report, 5 pages, it has to be on this topic. They're used to getting what the deliverable should be. But that is not how things happen in life, you know, a lot. And so when they come in and they're scared, they're super insecure about their ability to produce something, I just say it has to have these things, and ideally I would like these things. However it looks at the end, that's up to you. And at the end of the internship, they're just like astounded by their ability to have created, you know, something that met my needs, but it was all based on their creativity and what they thought should be, you know, what the final product would look like. The same thing with entrepreneurship, or, you know, even if you're not an entrepreneur, but you are, you know, working in the corporate space, like, what is the result that you want to create? And then work backwards. What are the steps? What are the tools? What are the resources, the skills that I need to have to get there? And when you do it that way, then you're not locked into, oh, I have to be in this position, or I have to have this role, or the work has to look this way. You get to be more flexible and fluid with
Absolutely.
how
I
you
love that
reach
advice.
that end
Reverse
goal.
engineering is like my life hack to everything. It just works.
Exactly. And I will also add nurturing relationships. That's been super, super, super important for me. You know, there were times, and my mom will even say it. She actually had this conversation with me not too long ago. She was like, you know what? I didn't get it. All those penniless days you had, you know, living in my house, can't pay rent, you know, and you talking about you wanted to start this business, and I'm saying you need to get a job. She was like, I didn't get it. And now my mom is in entrepreneurship. You know, she's doing her own thing in interior design, but now she gets it. She didn't get it when, you know, when she wasn't in it. And but she's like, you having all these meetings with people, you know, doing all these things for free. And granted, there's a balance to that. There's a way that you balance that. But it was really important to nurture relationships. There are relationships that I've nurtured for 3 to 5 years that are now producing fruit. Right. So never like stop nurturing and building relationships.
Networking is so important. And be genuine also, people. Don't just be, because people can tell, and we have enough human problems. So definitely nurture those relationships, be genuine, you know, remember details about people. That's one of my favorite things. And I just remember stuff naturally. So like I ran into a woman actually who remembered your name. Random. I was having lunch and I remembered her face. Like I had met her before, but I couldn't remember where. And we started talking anyway. She didn't remember me, but I remembered her and I told her that I did. We started talking and then she went to tell me a particular story. And I was like, you've told me this story before. I know that we met. And then I told her the rest of the story. And she was so shocked. She was like, oh my God, your memory. And I was like, I mean, and again, like I didn't remember her name or anything, but my memory will just remember certain details. And people are always impressed by that. So be very genuine, audience, okay, when you're building these relationships. But it is very important, you know, in relationships to take apart, because as Candace said earlier in the interview, no such thing as a solopreneur, right? So it takes a village and it takes a community, and those will be the people who you have good relationships with that will be able to support you and get you to the next level. All right, we have three more questions. We'll be done by 3. What was your I'm sorry, wait, we have more. But okay. What was your dream career as a young girl?
So I didn't really have, I wasn't that kind of child that say, oh, I want to be this when I grow up. And somebody asked me this question a couple years ago. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think that I was that type of child. And I remember asking my parents, I went to my mom, like, did I used to say I wanted to be a certain thing when I grew up? And my mom's like, I don't recall. And I remember asking my dad, like, you know, the same question. And he said, and I asked you one time, you know, what did you, you know, want to be? What were you interested in your future? And you said a nurse. And then, you know, a little while later, I asked you again, and you said a teacher. And then I said, well, my dad said to me, I thought you wanted to be a nurse. Now you're saying a teacher. And I'm like, well, I can teach nurses how to be a nurse. That line, I feel like, explains me, like it sums me up. Right? So I never really had like this, like, I want to be this. Or, you know, and actually that question that people ask children, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I find like troubling a little bit, because first of all, it's not like what you want to be, it's really like who you want to be, right? And it's not when you grow up, like, who do you want to be now? What type of person do you want to be now? Because it's really about who you are and who you're being that creates the results that you want in your life. It's not what you are, it's like who you are as a person.
That.
Right?
I love that. Very thought-provoking. And I don't like the question for children either. I think that it's, especially because we're not showing all of the possibilities, it is the beginning of them limiting themselves, you know? And that's another reason for the platform, is to show different versions of ourselves in different areas so that we have the representation. We don't feel so confined to the only images that we've seen previously. As women and as women of color, we haven't been seeing ourselves in many spaces, right? And so we may want to occupy those spaces, but don't know what it looks like, what would be the first move we should make. I know for myself, and I always have to shout her out whenever I think about it, but it wasn't until I saw Elaine Welteroth that things started to click in my mind of what could be possible in terms of a girl that looks like me, right? And wanting to be involved in media, but how do I get involved in media? And once upon a time, my fashion ambitions did want to be involved in the biggest of fashion media. And so seeing her break through, you know, those barriers and seeing myself in her gave me so much confidence to further launch my platform, right? And so now as I'm developing it even more, and adding new features and everything, like I can get on camera easier because I've seen girls in media like me on camera being themselves, laughing, snapping, all of that, right? I don't have to be Eurocentric with my interview style, where maybe 5 years ago or even 3 years ago, we would have been having a different type of interview. You know what I mean? So it's so important for us to know that we are limitless, and in whatever ways we find that out, whenever. I think it definitely needs to be shared as children, but I totally agree with you with that particular question being very limiting for them. What?
Yeah. Awesome. Shout out to
Hi,
Alumnae. I see
Arne.
she just joined. Hey, boo.
What book has made the greatest impact on your views of life?
People could probably see it coming. I mean, I kind of started off with God, and so if I say the Bible, it's really, it shouldn't be that much a surprise. And I don't want to say that like generally and not make it practical. Anyone can look at my business, how I interact with my clients, how I interact with my subcontractors, how I interact with my vendors, my leadership style, my approach to challenges, all of that. People can look and peel back the layers of my business, and it will be, and they could align it with verses in the Bible, right? Stories in the Bible. Because there's so much there, like whether you believe in Jesus, whether you believe in the Bible, there is just so much good stuff there that can be practically used. Like there are so many good principles there that could be practically used. And there's no other book that has had the greatest impact on my life, on my business, on my relationship
I
outside
agree with that
of the Bible.
assessment. I won't say that it's my favorite book. This is not my question, it's yours. But I am a Buddhist. I grew up like,
Well, the question
yes,
wasn't what was your
greatest
favorite
impact.
book. It
Yeah,
said
and I
what
just
book has
edited
had
because
the
the
greatest
question used to be,
impact.
what's your favorite book? And I just edited to the greatest impact. And I'll tell you about that on the sideline, why I edited it. But nonetheless, um, I agree 100%. So I'm Buddhist. When I was growing up, I was like borderline atheist because the Christians in my life were wild. And I was like, how dare you? What is that? But as life would have it,
Yep.
I have been, well, before I decided to become Buddhist, I did start to get back in alignment with just God, with no frills, just God, right? And that was a pivotal point for me, right? Like just
Yep.
360, everything started to get back on track.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, cool. So we're going to stick with this. However, I have to do it how it works for me, right? And like I said, Christianity wasn't it for me, but Buddhism works, right? And it's still God. It's just a different set of conditions, not even conditions, a different way to tell the story, right? But I do agree with you, and I've recently learned how to understand the Bible better. And under that new lens, I like make sure that I tap into the Bible every day just to read a verse, right? Because it is very vital to the human experience if we do know how to grab the gems there. So you're so freaking eloquent, and your thoughts are so well organized. I just thank you. I just thank you so much. Okay, so
Well, listen, you gave me these questions ahead of time, so I had time to think about what to
no,
say. If I was like on the spot, you
you're
would have get a
gonna
whole
accept
different
these
interview.
compliments.
Okay.
You do not get to walk them back, and you do not get to dilute them. You're gonna accept these compliments. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
What is your
Thank you.
secret weapon to balancing work, life outside of work, and self care?
I
Okay.
don't actually try to balance it at all. I typically oscillate, right? So oscillation is kind of like this. And because for me, balance is like things are evenly distributed. And that's just not how that's just not how my life unfolds on a daily basis. Like for things to be, so it's more energy, it's more of a push to try to balance things. And so what I do is really just oscillate. And so I move back and forth between different points of the spectrum. And it's really based on like me, and maybe actually this is the secret weapon, which is checking in with myself. Like, how do I feel in this moment? If something is like feeling off, and so it's really checking in with myself moment by moment. Am I too tired? Am I trying to push myself where actually I don't need to push myself? Am I not getting, do I need to take that 15-minute nap? Right. So it's throughout the day that I'm checking in on myself, and I may, say, okay, well, this thing is really important to get done. So I'm going to do it all night. I'm going to stay up for 24 hours, although I know that's not the best thing to do, but I got enough rest the previous week. I can do that here. Or I procrastinated, or I decided to binge watch that thing when I should have been working on that project. So this is the consequence. I got to stay up for 24 hours to complete this thing. Right. So I don't really balance. I just oscillate and check in with myself to make sure I'm
I love
being
that.
taken
That's
care
so
of
real, and
moment
that's
by
really what
moment.
it is. I love that. And we have to parent ourselves as well. I love how you said that. Like, if I procrastinated, honey, no, I've got to pay the price and just stay up. That's that's the cost for the fun. All right, last two questions.
Yeah.
What resource would you recommend for female entrepreneurs that had a positive impact on your business or personal goals?
I would say co-working spaces. Um, and it could be a co-working space. It could be a group, a networking group. Um, I I'm I can't be around people a lot. Although my work requires me to be around people a lot. So I usually don't choose to, especially now at this stage in my business where I have a lot of business. I get a lot of referrals. I'm not really like struggling in that way to make connections. I've put in that work to make connections, to build relationships with people. So now I'm at a place where I'm like, okay, I don't have to network, and I choose that. Like networking events, I'm like, miss me with that. I'm not interested. Like, cause I just need my solitude at this stage in my business. Oh, hey, Vajma, nice to see you. Um, so I'm glad that you joined. She's from Germany too, so I'm glad that she joined in this live video. Um, so yeah, I would say, if whatever stage you are in your business, especially if you need to make connections, co-working spaces are really, really good for that because they are designed for entrepreneurs, right? They're designed to create connections. They are a hub for resources. And so instead of like spending hours and hours online Googling different things, if you're in a co-working space, you're hearing things in the space. You could be working and you hear somebody talk about a resource, and that's gold. There is a place to bounce ideas off of other entrepreneurs, to hear from entrepreneurs who have been like where you are or are where you want to be. So I would always advocate for checking out different co-working spaces and being involved in the community, not just showing up there, but taking part in the events, like getting to know the other entrepreneurs around you, bringing your lunch there so you can
I
have
love
lunch
that.
with
Thank you
people,
so
all of
much
those things.
for that insight. I believe that, if it wasn't for my network of people, entrepreneurs especially, I don't think I would have survived this journey. And even now, with the projects that I have, I'm reconsidering, and I literally have a list of people that I'm going to call who are entrepreneurs to bounce some ideas off of them. Like, what do you think? Because it just makes the world a difference, and it also gets you out of your own head. To being an entrepreneur is such a unique thing, and it's easy to stay in your own head. So having a network of entrepreneurs that also think in a unique way makes it more comfortable to get out of your own head. So thank you so much for that. All right, our last and final question. How do you define success?
Success to me is straight fulfilling God's purpose for my life, like leaving it all on the floor, being able to look back at my life, and not even that I have to be like old to do that. Like even now, be able to reflect on my life and my actions, and just like that nod, like yeah, like it's no words.
Did
It's like
that.
we did
Okay.
that. We did that.
I love that. That was such a beautiful response. This has been more than a pleasure, and more than an honor to have you as my first interview on the relaunch of Success Talk, for She Defines Success, my women empowerment platform. I cannot wait to continue to catch up with you. I am back in Baltimore. I've been here since 2020. My husband and I plan to stay here. So let's connect on some community stuff. Let's connect on any type of stuff, honestly. Yes. We're
on all the things.
Thank you for your tribe that tuned in. I appreciate all of you. And honestly, it's beautiful to see how much you're loved and supported. So thank you to each and every last one of you. Her tribe, my tribe, any tribe that dropped in. We appreciate you all. And this will be available on the Instagram as well as YouTube and a few other places. So check us out. Visit the website, www.alexisrai.com/SDS. There you will find our women's own directory. We're getting ready to open a women's own marketplace, and you'll find other interviews just like this one. Thank you so much, Candace. I'll speak with you soon.
Thank you so much for watching Success Talk Interviews hosted by She Defines Success. This interview was with Candace Chance. If you'd like to learn more about her, visit her website, www.thevpifirm.com. Again, that's www.thevpifirm.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope to have you again soon.